Hey guys, Parker here, former MSU alumni, and I'm giving you a preview of the breakdown of Week 3 Michigan State versus Washington. So let's get right into it. So MSU, Michigan State University, they came in as a -2.5 underdog about a week ago, and now it's +3.5. Almost a 6-point swing from Vegas. And I can understand right away why Vegas would want to move that line. Um, you know, this is a very odd game because Washington, their breakdown has been interesting so far this year. Two really easy games at home, both noon and 4 o'clock kickoff games for them in the Pac-12. Coming off a 4-8 season, a lot of uncertainties with the new head coach Kevin DeBoer. And, he's come in and he's brought this new air raid style offense, and have they exploded? Wow. Indiana transfer quarterback Michael Penix Jr. looks like an all-star. He looks like an all-American so far, passing for about 380 yards per game and 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. I mean, how much better can you get from that? It's really paying off that he transferred there after 2 great seasons in Indiana and 2 unfortunate injuries for him, and he's found a good home there so far. Some other things about Washington is that, the defense was kind of an uncertainty because, this team has had a lot of talent in the past. The Washington Huskies, one of the better teams in the Pac-12 historically. And, last year was kind of a struggle with a second-year head coach that wasn't a great mentor, didn't really know how to coach the kids the proper way. There was a couple allegations with Coach Lake, and, that obviously turned to the negative and ended up, producing one of the worst offenses in the country. But they had some NFL talent in the DB. 2 NFL DBs got drafted. They had to replace some gaps there. They've looked steady so far, only giving up 13 combined points so far. I know, again, it's only Portland State and Kent State, but, looking pretty good on defense. I just question the D-line, though. Have they gotten much pressure? Not really so far. A couple sacks, but, that's not really important. The fact that they've only held them to 13 points is pretty incredible. So we'll see how that, unit does. But overall, a great start for Washington. I mean, I can't really harp on any 2 negatives. They've come out and they've done what they needed to do. They've been hungry and motivated from a 4-8 season. They've had the talent, and the talent's come to play. They've had a new coaching staff, and it's obviously clearly played off. Kevin DeBoer is a winner's coach. He's won everywhere he's been. He's a player's coach. They love him. It's clear. And flipping it over to the Michigan State side, it's been a shaky start. I was expecting a flawless offense, if I'm being honest. Obviously the loss of Kenneth Walker III has taken a little bit of a hit, but the combination of Jarek Broussard and Jalen Berger has been amazing, to be honest. I can't complain at all. Berger's averaging 110 yards per game so far. Granted, it's only against Akron and Western Michigan, but I can't complain with his performance. He's a solid home run hitter. He's athletic. He's 6'3". He's a hard hitter. And when he gets to that second line of the defense against the linebackers, it's knuckles to knuckles, man. It's hard to bring him down. And that's what I love about him. I watched his tape a little bit, Wisconsin in 2020. Didn't use him as much, which was kind of concerning to me. But, wow, he's really, really taken a big step, and he's shown MSU fans why, the loss of Kenneth Walker isn't too bad. And going off of that, Jarek Broussard's been a great secondary to him. Coming out of, Colorado, the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year in 2020. No complaints to them either. He's more shifty than I thought he was going to be. He is so aggressive and so tough to come down from the second line of defense as well. When he hits that hole, it's hard to bring him down. Almost 5-6 yards a carry. And, I can't complain with him either. That 1-2 punch is lethal, and it's great considering the O-line hasn't looked the greatest so far. Yes, they've gotten a couple holes for the running backs, which is surprising, and, it's good to know. But the problem is still the offensive line cannot protect our quarterback. And Thorne, to be honest, our quarterback, just hasn't looked great. A lot of overthrows, a lot of throwing off the back foot. He understands that this has got to be an issue he's got to clean up. Because, he continues to do this, we're going to lose on Saturday. And we can't allow that. So, and he knows he can play better than that. We as Michigan State fans, we know that he has the capabilities of doing this. He did this all last year. Granted, he had Kenneth Walker, so the pressure was a little bit off of him, and you had an O-line that was very, very experienced, two guys that went to the NFL. So now you have guys like JD Duplain, Brown on the outside in the tackle spot. They got to step up. And so far you've had Akron and Western Michigan that have brought different blitz packages that we haven't been ready for, and that's put a lot of pressure on the quarterback that we can't have. And especially when he's overthrowing balls like this, you need all the time in the world you can get with him. You can't have him scrambling out and throwing across his body, right to left. We can't have that happen. So our quarterback's going to get better. Hopefully, he's going to take a nice break. Hopefully this week and recollect his mind, figure out his footing. His feet work's got to improve, and the O-line's got to figure out something because Washington's going to bring a lot of blitz packages and a lot of zone coverages along with that. That could include a quarterback spy. You never know. So we got to be prepared because the first 2 weeks have been kind of brutal. Receivers, I'm not going to go too much in depth with because they've gotten open almost at all levels, including Jeremy Bernard, the true freshman, who's been a big surprise and a good standout so far. And to go on to that, the receivers, they're just such great route runners. I'm really happy with the wide receiver coach we have in Michigan State. He's done an amazing job coming from the NFL to here that Mel Tucker's brought in. And he's really got them to develop NFL skills at that level. And, their route running has been great. Their reach has been great. And they look like they've just been faster and stronger from a season ago, which is kind of tough to believe if I'm being honest. But, with the loss of Jalen Naylor, I was a little worried. But, outside of Jaden Reed, who's been injured, and, we'll see his status, and I'll talk more about that later about injuries. But, Keon Coleman's been open almost every single play that he's played on the field. And you couldn't have expected more from him. Now, if Thorne throws the ball more accurately to him, he's our leading receiver so far. He's caught the most touchdowns. He still is, but he could be by 200 yards and 4 more touchdowns. That's not the case so far. And maybe that changes this weekend, but we'll see. Keon's been great. Trey Mosley, Mr. No Drops has been amazing so far. I have no complaints. Again, the freshman, Jerry Bernard. And we'll go over to the tight end position. This position's been a little interesting because, I thought originally Malik Carr was going to be the guy. I thought he was going to be, an all Big Ten tight end. But Daniel Barker has really proved me wrong from my preseason expectations of him. He's big, he's fast, he's physical. He can catch the ball like a mother effer. And I have no complaints. He can block really, really well as well, which has helped out with the running game so far. Again, a lot of good, good talent there. And again, I have no complaints. I hope Mel Tucker keeps using them, coaching Michigan State, especially for this game, because we're going to need them, considering these blitz packages, and we could squeak them out, on 3rd and long or something like that, or 2nd down and 5. Moving over to the defensive side, where, it's been a real bummer to see, 2 big players, one especially that's the key of the defense, Xavier Henderson, is out for an extended period of time and will not play in this game Saturday, which is a huge loss for Michigan State. The secondary has looked a little bit better. It's still got some work to do, obviously, because with the 4-2-4 that Mel Tucker runs the defense, it's a zone coverage almost every single play. We don't really play man-to-man, and that's going to leave some holes, past 15, 20 yards that quarterbacks are just going to eat up. So, it's going to have Amir Speed, transfer from Georgia. He's had an immediate impact. He's a long, lanky guy, but he's kind of, sturdy too. And he hasn't had any issue on his side of the ball. Charles Brantley's been a nice surprise starting at quarterback so far through 2 games that I've liked a lot so far. And should have a near interception last game against Akron, but got called back, unfortunately. They've been great so far. The position where I'm worried about is safety again is with the loss of Xavier Henderson, we have Kendall Brooks, who's a hard hitter, just not a lot of playing time. And that really worries me against a Washington team that has veteran wide receivers there. So I'm a little worried, but, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the schemes come up with Mel Tucker. And, Angelo Gross has been better than advertised. He's improved a lot from last season. His skill and knowledge of packages and plays have definitely improved, as you can tell. And I think a player that really, probably most of the players so far has been, the transfer from Florida, Chester Kimbrough. That he is excelling in that Viper position, and I couldn't be happier because I love when we take him and we blitz him on 3rd downs or 2nd down check downs from opposing offenses, screens and stuff like that. He's been electric. he can fly to the ball. He's a great tackler. He was struggling, on an island on his own last year. And Mel Tucker did a great job looking at his ability to move more in a viper position, a more flexible position in the defense, and he's done great so far. So they've been a pleasant surprise, a bit of a work in progress so far because they haven't played two great offenses, Western Michigan and Akron, but I think that credits to the Michigan State defensive line. And Jacoby Windman, what can I say? 5.5 sacks, almost 4.5, 4 fumbles for loss, a tackle and a half for loss. I can't complain. Mel Tucker has just done an incredible job, getting guys out of the portal. Jacoby Windman, for example. And I think that goes honestly back to Coach Brandon Jordan and his connection with Jacoby Windman back in high school when Brandon Jordan used to volunteer at his high school to coach. And I think that connection ended up having Windman come to here. And it's clear to see that those two are immediately hitting it off because you've had the ghost move and the spin move, two moves that have been publicized immediately, and yet you've seen on the field in both the Western Michigan and Akron game that I just can't believe that he's gotten that in his tackle box so far. And he continues to use that, and he continues to use that in the Washington game. I mean, he might have 2 sacks, 3 sacks. He's going to be an opposing nightmare for Penix Jr. And I can't complain. He's moved them from linebacker to D-line. It's been a great move so far, obviously. He's been a home wrecker for opposing quarterbacks and O-linemen. Along with him, we've had Chris Bogle from Florida, and he's a big, long, physical guy. He's gotten some pressure so far. I'd like to see him do a little bit more with regards to moves on the outside and the exterior with tackles, but he's been steady. And I can't complain when you got a guy like Jacoby Windman, and he's probably going to get double-teamed. Bogle's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to have one-on-ones, maybe even a couple free pass rushes against Penix, depending on their O-line coverages. So we'll see what happens. But he's an athletic guy, and he had some success late in the year last year with Florida. We'll see what happens. Interior-wise, you got Jacob Slade, who's a rock. He was a rock last year. Hasn't done too much this year, but a slow start. But he can pick it up, anytime he really wants to. And, I'll get into the injuries now because the injuries is probably the key to this game. And, losing our guy, Darius Snow, who I believe was probably going to be the best player in the defense this year, losing him to a season-ending injury, just detrimental. I mean, you could tell right away if you were in live during watching the game at Spartan Stadium or just on TV, he was a home wrecker, and he was athletic, and you could tell the move from him to safety to linebacker was crucial because he's also probably the smartest guy on that defense outside of Xavier Henderson. He knew every single coverage, every single check down, and every single audible that opposing offense was going to run. And it was pretty obvious. He put the time and work in the weight room. He got more athletic. He got faster and stronger, and it was clear to see. Losing him is going to be big. And, filling that gap is going to be Cal Holiday. How is he going to be in coverages? He wasn't great on third down packages last year. Sure, he was great blitzing the ball, but he was a detriment, trying to cover guys and running backs coming out in slants on third downs last year. We can't have that again. How is he going to be against Washington, a better team? And against Akron, he had a great game. That's Akron, one of the worst teams in football. You can't have that. You can't have a letdown like that against Washington, who's an up-and-coming team this year in the Pac-12. So we're going to see, because you have Ben Van Sumeren, who's been another big surprise for me. That guy's lightning quick and can go from sideline to sideline in a matter of time. And if we can get a secondary linebacker to complement Van Sumeren, and that's knowledgeable on checkdowns and on coverages, on third down soft coverages like that, especially in third and longs, that's big. So we're going to have guys, like Cal Holiday. We're going to have guys like maybe Kendall Brooks who move the linebacker. He's a big guy, 6'3", 6'4". He can probably move in and give an opportunity to him, depending on how the game goes. And then Aaron Brule, he can step in. He's got a couple sacks so far. Just hasn't got a lot of playing time, but next man up mentality. And this is an area where we have a lot of depth, and we got to show it. So, the D tackle position, Sean Mallory and Jalen Hunt not dressed last game. That's an issue because that's a big it's a big group for us, and we're deep there. But with those two guys outside of Slade, we got 41 Um, and that's really about it. And that's kind of worrying for us. So we can't afford any injuries on the D line, interior D line. Can't afford any more really in linebacker because we're really thin there now. And the D is, look, I don't know what's going to happen this game because, Penix Jr. and those elite receivers he's got, they're home run hitters. They can score the football in a matter of seconds. They are downfield shot guys, and I'm worried because, they look unstoppable so far. They lead the Pac-12 in passing yards and touchdowns on offense. And what I think what's going to happen in this game, again, I think it comes down to injuries. If we can stay healthy and we have the right nutrition and the right mindset and the right sleep that Mel Tucker's been harping on throughout this entire week, like we did against Miami last year, I think we have a really good chance to win. Because we can't afford cramps. We can't afford to be tired in the fourth quarter, and we got to take them to the deep water like we always have, especially like the last year we did. So we can't afford injuries. And I think a big guy that I haven't talked about so far, if he plays, that's huge for us. If he doesn't, we got to have a guy step up as Jaden Reed. How's his back? How's the cut on his back? How has he recovered so far? We have had no word on him whatsoever. That's alarming because he's a game changer, in the special teams. He gets the ball, he could score a touchdown in a matter of 10 seconds. We could be down 17, down 14, down 7. Tie ball game, up 7. He's big because he gets all the attention on offense too. That opens up opportunities for check down running backs and receivers like Keon, who's already getting open. So my breakdown of this game and my prediction is it's going to be tough. It's a primetime game on ABC. It's going to be a purple rainout is what they're calling it. It's going to be packed. It's going to be loud. Michigan State hasn't won a true road game in the Pac-12 since 2000, and that's tough. It really is. And, I think what's going to happen is early on, I think Michigan State's going to go down, probably 17-0. They're going to get harped on. They're going to get just absolutely thrown around by the secondary. The O-line, which I think is interesting for UW, they have only, outside of their 6-year right guard, they only have the rest of their O-line has 13 combined starts on, for games. That's not a lot, and 3 out of those 4 guys on the line, and 2 of their starts have been this year, so they're brand new. So I think they're going to come and try to blitz them. Scotty Haleson's going to bring up some pressure, but I think it's going to cause a lot of open, third downs and second downs in the middle of the field, depending on, our linebacking, ability to cover. And I think they're going to take a lot of deep shots in their corners. And I think we're going to go down early. And I think it's going to be hostile enough where we're going to struggle on offense. I think our O-line's going to take a while to settle into the game. And I think Thorne's going to be throwing balls high again the first couple drives. But I think he's going to get comfortable. And I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. And I think he's going to settle in. And I think he's going to throw for probably 250 to 300 yards in this game. I think he's going to end up throwing probably 5 to 10 only completions more throughout the next 3 quarters after the first quarter. And I think after the 17-0 hole in the first quarter, I think we settle down. And I think Mel Tucker really decides to harp on them at halftime, probably going into 20-14 lead with Washington. I think we come in, I think we start running the ball a little bit more effectively. And I think as soon as we do that, I think at the end of the third quarter, we went at a couple deep shots and a couple slants to guys like Keon Coleman and guys who might step up in place of Jaden Reed if he doesn't play, like Christopher Fitzpatrick, Terry Lockett, Terry Foster Jr. And I think we start moving the ball more effectively. Maybe a couple deep shots here and then, like I said before. And I think we start doing what we started to see in the Miami game in the fourth quarter. Maybe up 27-28 to 24, and then just a gut punch, the nail in the coffin. And I think we end up scoring 21 points in the fourth quarter. I think we end up scoring 38 points in this game. I think the final score in this game, 38-31. That's my final prediction, Michigan State. I think we take the blows early. We come back kind of just like we did in the Michigan game. And I think we kind of wear down this defense that hasn't really played, their first string starters a lot because of the first 2 games. And we're going to cause a lot of trouble for this new head coach and their new offense and their new scheme and their new coaching staff. And I think we're going to shock a lot of people because a lot of people are picking against us. And I think Mel Tucker's going to put that all on his board and all on the plate right there and all in the locker room. And I think he's going to handle the pressure really well. So my final prediction, Michigan State 38, UW 31. It might be a surprise to a lot of people. I'm worried for a lot of reasons, but I've seen this team do a lot of great things in my lifetime. And Mel Tucker, he's really got it going in year 3. And I could tell the talent is there. It's just a matter of execution. And if Thorne, our quarterback Payne Thorne, is throwing the balls that he's thrown last year, I have no issue in seeing how we can lose this game. So, again, final score for Michigan State 38, UW 31. Betting advice, I would probably take MSU 3.5. As of now. But I think if you want to get really risky, you take money line. And I'm going to take money line. I know my friends out there, we're going to take money line. And, I'm going to be rooting my ass off out there. And I think we're going to have a lot of fans out there, more than people think. And I think, I'm just hoping for the best because I am worried. But I did give my final prediction, MSU 38, UW 31, and we'll see how it goes. So, this is Parker Reith, former MSU alumni, signing off. Just want to give a quick shout out to the Spartan Dogs. Hopefully we make it a great game, and we're going to have a big crowd there, and I'm expecting a lot. And we get this win, it's a big step forward for the program for the season and what's to come. But, I'll give my post-game reaction a couple days later, good and bad. I'll try to keep my tempers as low as possible if we lose, but, if we win, I won't have any complaints. So, again, signing off, go green.